Continuing on here. A person was dead. They had died in that room in a terrible way. Junpei knew there was no way he could make himself forget that. There was no way any of them could forget it. The mourning would do no good. They spread out to search the room, but each felt as if their heart was made of lead. Seek a way out! Alright, let's see if anything happens when I turn you. Nope, nothing. Not even a drop. Is the pipe clogged? That's where we came in. I guess it's not locked, but there ain't really any point. All that's out there is the numbered door. We can't go back through the numbered door, even if we wanted to. Those letters written in blood. LLR. Do you think that might be some sort of dying message from Snake? No, that's impossible. You saw the body. You aren't doing anything after something like that happens to you. Then this. The way the blood's dried tells you it's real old. Whoever blood this is, it ain't Snake's. Then you're saying this blood was put here a long time ago? Yeah. It's some bloody toilet paper. It's toilet paper with some kind of red symbols on it. You think maybe that's a Skytail cipher? What the heck is that? You wrap a piece of paper around the stick and then write several sentences on it so that the whole paper is filled up. Then you unwrap the paper and you can't tell what the original message was, right? That's how it works, more or less. Then to decipher it, you gotta have a stick that's the same diameter as the original one. Same diameter as the original one, huh? Yeah. Then you just wrap the paper around the stick and you can read the code. So we need a stick? Or what? A wooden box, there's something in here. Luminol. The hell is this thing? Some kind of spray bottle? There's something written on it. Lumen. Can't read anything else, the label's all faded. Let me see that. He just grabbed it from him. That wasn't very nice. Oh, this is luminol. You know, forensic guys use it at crime scenes. Oh yeah, that stuff that glows blue when you spray it on blood. Even if the blood's been wiped off, it'll still glow. Fancy. A thick pipe that stretches down from the ceiling. Alright. This light bulb provides light for the room. This room. Thanks. The dividing wall that separates the toilets. What do you think this is? It looks like tar. It's kind of sticky. I don't think we can just wipe it off. I doubt just pouring some water on it's gonna help much either. What about hot water? Hot water? If we had some really hot water, like boiling hot, then maybe that would wash off. There's some kind of weird stain in the toilet bowl. We need to turn the water on, like, behind us. The one that June said was clogged or something. There's nothing in the toilet. If there was, that would be gross. Agreed. There might be something in the tank, you know? Let's open that shit up. Red key card. It's a red key card. Probably a key card. Do you remember if you saw a card reader anywhere around here? I don't. I got a bucket. Hey Jumpy, do you remember back in elementary school when you spilled all of our paint across the whole classroom? They made you clean it up and all they gave you was a sponge and a bucket like this. Can't we just leave the past in the past? Agreed. Junpei reached for the broom, and as he grabbed it, he heard a soft voice from behind him. It was June. The rabbit hutch. Huh? He turned around. June still looked sadly pale, but there was a smile on her face. Oh, you just reminded me of it. The rabbit hutch, I mean. How did I remind you of something like that? Junpei and the broom. You were always playing around with the broom in front of the rabbit hutch. I was? Don't you remember? Junpei stared at the broom in his hand. You mean you don't remember that summer either? She looked very sad. He shook his head. Of course I remember. How could I forget something like that? It was terrible. They were in the 6th grade. Junpei and June had been assigned to take care of the classroom pets, the rabbits. Their chief duty was to clean the hutches every morning. On the final day of school before summer vacation began, Junpei overslept. He rushed to school and found June standing in front of the rabbit hutches. No sooner had Junpei arrived than June began to cry. He had no idea why until he looked behind her into the rabbit hutch. The first thing he saw was blood. The hutch was filled with the dead bodies of the rabbits. Even after their teachers and friends came to see what the commotion was, June couldn't stop crying. I just kept crying until you came over. You held my hand and you looked very serious and you said, "Don't cry. I'm gonna catch the person who did this." After you told me that, I finally stopped crying. Well, the real fun started after you quit crying. You told me we were gonna catch the killer together. It's Zero! June smiled and a little of the flush of life returned to her cheeks. Then we decided that we'd ambush them. Yeah, I remember. The school also kept roosters and guinea pigs. Junpei and June had decided the murderer would likely return to finish off the rest of the animals. They would ambush the killer at night. Junpei and June hid behind the hutch at dusk and waited. It was a warm summer night. The quiet sound of crickets whispered through the air. As the sun went down, the stars began to wink at them from the sky. And June's, Akane Kuroshiki's face. That night was something Junpei knew he would never forget as long as he lived. But the murderer never showed up. We waited for them all summer vacation and they never showed up. Yeah, but the animals didn't get attacked either. I think all that work amounted to something, you know? He'd felt the same way, but it was good to hear her say it. Although, you know, if you think about it, we were probably taking on a lot more than we could handle. What do you mean? She looked up at him confused. Well, come on. We were just kids. If whoever had killed the rabbits had actually showed up, they probably would have had a knife or something. I mean, you must have been pretty worried, right? I wasn't worried because you were there with me. She blushed furiously. You know, no one else wanted to take care of the animals. Clearly embarrassed, she tried desperately to change the subject. I was the only one who asked to do it at first. Yeah, boys don't really want to bother with taking care of animals, you know? Well, yeah, but you asked to do it after I did, didn't you? If it wasn't the rabbits, they were gonna make me do something else, you know? You know how that school was. I figured it'd be better if I was working with somebody who wasn't too much of a loudmouth, right? Somebody who wasn't gonna tell on me if I felt like blowing it off. Really? That's why you volunteered? Yeah, it is. He nodded quickly and much too earnestly and then quickly looked away. It's something very important. That hadn't been the reason, of course. He had asked to take care of the rabbits so that he could be near June. But it had been so long ago, he couldn't bring himself to tell her how he'd felt back then. It would be embarrassing. He took a quick breath to clear his head, tossed the broom up, and then snatched it out of the air. But we don't really have time to be walking down memory lane like this, you know? We've got to figure out a way out of this room. Otherwise... Yes. June nodded curtly, then turned and walked away. Yeah, stop bringing up the past, guys. Junpei turned around and looked at the room, at Snake's body. Chunks of flesh and organs still lay on the floor. The conversation he and June had been having scarcely fit their surroundings. But perhaps this was simple human nature. Despite such a situation, or perhaps because of it, the mind turned to the farthest thing from death that it could find. Still, Junpei couldn't help but feel a twinge of guilt at wanting so desperately to live when Snake lay dead before him. He had to live. He wanted a life again, a life with June in it. As he stared at the clumps of blackened flesh, all Junpei could think of was how much he wanted to live. That's good. What are you doing with the broom? Huh? It looks like there's something down there on the grate. I think it's a card. Yeah, it's the blue card. Can't reach it though. It's too deep. Hey Junpei, isn't this card kind of like that red card? Yeah, it looks similar. We're talking about the one we found in the toilet, right? Yeah, the red card floated, didn't it? Yeah, it did, so... Well, then this blue one probably floats too, right? Float, yeah, it might. It's a thermometer. Can you get it off? No, it's screwed onto the wall. We don't have any combo. There's water coming out of the shower head. Let's see if... Shit, that's hot. Really hot. Man, that water must be just about boiling. Maybe I can use a shower here to fill the bucket with hot water. Hey 7, could you turn on the shower? I'm gonna put the bucket under the head. Okay, sure thing. Nice. Let's put it on the stain thing. There's something that looks like tar inside the toilet bowl. If I flush the hot water from the bucket, that should clean it up. Do it then. Okay. Alright, so I just pour the hot water into this tank and looks like you filled it. Now you should be able to flush it, right? There's probably a handle somewhere on the tank you can pull. Think so? Oh, there's a screwdriver in there. Is there something we needed to unscrew somewhere? Yes, the thermometer. Alright, let's flush the hot water. There it goes, just like a toilet should work. 185 equals... Looks like that writing was numbers, see it? Digital root, maybe? You got me, it just looks like numbers. Digital root of this is 13, 14, 5. 185. Let's get right that down. 185 equals. Let me unscrew this thing. The thermometer was screwed onto the wall. That meant that Junpei needed to take the screws out with the screwdriver. While he was so engaged, Santa suddenly spoke. Hey Junpei, you know why thermometers only go up to 107 degrees Fahrenheit or 75 degrees Celsius, like this one? Junpei answered without taking his eyes off the screw. No, can't say I ever thought about that. At 107 degrees, the cells in the human body start to die and the organs begin to shut down. The proteins in your cells start to harden. It's like when you hard boil an egg. Even if you cool it down afterwards, it won't go back to being a raw egg. In other words, it's dead. That's why thermometers don't go past 107. There's no point. Why had Santa brought that up? Junpei wondered. Oh yeah? He continued to work at the screw. But it's pretty rare for a fever to get that high. Even viruses and stuff don't usually drive the body temperature up to 107. Of course, there are other external things that could. Like what? Well, let's see. Something like getting locked in a sauna. Or getting thrown into an incinerator and burned to death. Ha, yes, I guess that would get a little hotter than 107 degrees Fahrenheit. Junpei gave a short barking laugh. A moment later, the screw fell off. With a small tug, Junpei pulled the thermometer from the wall. Alright, I got it. He looked up and saw Santa glaring at a blank section of wall. Huh? What's up? Nothing. Forget about it. Santa spun around and walked off, away from Junpei. But as Junpei watched him go, he didn't look angry. He looked very, very sad. Oh, he took the thermometer off. It says open at the bottom of the gauge. I wonder what it means. Maybe when it gets that hot, something will open. Can we like put it in the bucket? No, we don't have a bucket anymore. Huh? Why not? Nothing unusual there. Some pipes. Why does the one on the right look different from the others, I wonder? There's a piece of paper tied to this pipe with a wire. Drainage valve. Please do not flush the water in these pipes. Doing so may cause the drain to overflow. Yeah, if I can get this hot water on the thermometer, then maybe. Alright, thermometer, let's get this party started. Yep, looks like that's doing the trick. There goes the gauge, and now it's at the open mark. Huh, it opened. What's this? It looks like there's a piece of paper in here. 957 plus... okay. That means you're supposed to add something to 957, isn't it? Doesn't it? Well, yeah, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. So 957 plus is 185. The problem is what to add. I think I know. Look at your calculator. 957 plus 185 equals 1142. The digital root of that is 8. How convenient. The divider between the stalls on the other side of this wall. No, I don't want to think about that. Maybe use a luminol. Yeah. Whoops. Wait, you don't really think we're supposed to use a luminol here, do you? Yeah, it does seem kind of weird to use it here. But maybe I should try it just in case. Okay, I've sprayed the luminol on the wall. What's next? Turn the light off. LLR, LRL. Just like you thought, Junpei. There's some more letters showing up after the LLR. LLR, LRL. It says LLR, LRL. Nice. Alright, let's figure this out now. The pipe on the right here must be connected to the drain in the middle of the room. If you turn on the water here, it'll probably come up through the drain. Okay, let me turn these back to where they were. But leave that one like that. Boiling hot water comes out of the shower. There ought to be a warning label or something. Nope. Try that. Oh, I just opened it. The blue card, it might float in water. Okay. What if it's the only one that's open? Oh wait, oh. Yeah, so now it's only flowing to the right and not to these lower ones. Supposedly. Boiling hot water, blah blah blah, blah 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 blah. What? Come on. Or like this, and everything else is closed. Oh wait, yeah, like that. So it'll go down the bottom right ones. Nope. It's the drain, huh? I think there might be something in there. Yes, we know that. It looks like the flow of water can be controlled with these handles. We can't put any water through the pipe on the right though. If we do that, it'll start overflowing from the drain. But I want that to happen. Yeah, I need to figure that out. Alright, let me try something else. If we wrap the toilet paper around a stick or something. Oh, like the broom. What if I wrap the toilet paper around the broom? 634 plus. So you wrap the toilet paper around the broom, huh? Looks like the symbols line up perfectly. It says 624 plus. Okay, so 634 plus 957 plus 185 equals 1776. The digital root is 3. Let me try it on here, it's for fun. Nothing happens when I press these buttons. Well, it looks like the power's on. I'm wondering what the deal is with those things that say lock up there though. Because we need both key cards. Alright. Oh, maybe the LLR is pertinent to this. Left, left, right, left, left, right, left. Well, I did what it said on the wall. I wonder if it actually did anything. Hey, this drain's acting up. What the hell did you do? I just messed with the valves a little, nothing big. Give me that card! Jumping, the card is floating. Looks like the water floated the card up out of the drain. The blue card is floating in the water. Now get it out. There must be water flowing through the pipe on the right. There's water pouring out of the drain. It's the blue key card. This is the symbol for Mercury, isn't it? There was an elevator right outside of the big hospital room. I think that the same symbol was on the card reader next to it. That's right. I guess that means we're not supposed to use this card in this room. Do you really think so? I don't think maybe we need it for this room and for the elevator. That is valid, I guess. Oh hey, the blue light just came on. Huh? The blue light was just on, but it's off now. And the red light's on instead. I guess we have to swipe the red card first, and then the blue card. Okay. Good job, Jumpy. Both of the lights are on now. Now you just need to put in the password. 1776. You should be able to enter the password now. What's with these E and C keys? E means enter and C means clear, I think. So after you put in the password, hit E. If you screw up, hit C. Enter. Haha, sucker. You did it! That was a bit more straightforward than the previous rooms. Outside of the shower room was a hallway that extended off to the left and right. At the right end was a large iron door. They'd moved a few steps toward the door when Junpei heard the sound of metal on metal. They turned around. Seven was doing something to the door of the shower room. What are you doing, Seven? Well, I figure maybe we might want to come back here sometime, so I stuck the broom in there to keep the door from shutting. Alright, let's go. With that, he stood up and began walking down the hallway. He brushed past Junpei and kept going. After a moment, the rest of them followed him. Before long, they found themselves at that large iron door. They had only been there for a moment when Jun spoke up. Jumpy, look, he turned. There on the right side of the hallway was a piece of paper attached to the wall. Junpei ran over and peeled it off. It's a map of the ship's interior. It said Sea Deck in the upper left corner. From what he could tell, it was a map of the floor they were on. There would be time to look at it later. Junpei folded the map and stuffed it into his pocket. Back at the door, the four of them lined up in front of it. Santa stepped forward. He grabbed hold of the door and then turned to look back at the rest of them. Ready? I'm gonna open it. They nodded. Santa nodded back and threw the door open. All four of them leapt through. It took only a moment for them to realize where they were. They had been there only a short time ago. It was a large hospital room filled with countless beds. Great, we're back. Lotus and Clover looked up as they entered. Ace was there as well, although he looked as though he had only just woken up. The moment they spotted Junpei, Lotus and Clover headed straight for him. As she neared him, Lotus drew back her hand and slapped him open-palmed across the face. How could you do this to us? Her face was furious. She grabbed Junpei by the collar and shook him violently. Clover didn't touch him, but the hate in her eyes was no less potent. It was Seven who stopped them. Knock it off, we've got bigger shit to worry about right now. His deep voice echoed across the massive room. Lotus glared at Seven, but let Junpei go after one last vicious shake. What? Go have a look. I stuck the screwdriver in the door. That door over there, the one without a number. So long as the screwdriver's there, it can't shut, so you can get in there. Seven also explained how they might find the shower room and how he'd use the broom to ensure the door remained open as well. Then you're saying we can go in there without passing through the numbered door? Yeah, that's about the size of it. What the hell is in there? You'll know when you see it. Lotus and Clover looked at one another for a moment, then nodded and stepped through the door. By then, Ace had made his way to them, moving with the stiff, shuffling steps of someone who had only just awoken from a lengthy slumber. My goodness, I know I said I was sure you'd come back for me. I didn't think it would happen so soon, though. Ace shook his head weakly. Should I go as well? Seven nodded. Very well. Ace followed Lotus and Clover with his stiff, tired gait. The squeal of tortured metal made Junpei's teeth curl. It sounded like the noise a ghost would make. No matter how many times he heard it, he never got used to it. Every time it put him on edge. It didn't help that there was a girl nearby who looked far more like a ghost than a living human should. It was Clover. She sat on the edge of the bed, her head drooping listlessly onto her chest. Her eyes were blank and stared across the room at nothing. Her breathing was slow and mechanical. Aside from the rise and fall of her chest, she didn't move. Junpei felt as if even a nudge might cause her to shatter into 1,000 pieces. Snake was probably murdered. Chances are he was killed the same way the ninth man was. Seven lowered his voice, likely in an effort to keep Clover from hearing what he had to say. There were 4 other people in the room with Junpei and Seven. Ace, Santa, June, and Lotus. Seven looked at each one of them in turn, and continued. It's pretty straightforward, not that hard to figure out how they did it. First the killers got Snake to authenticate on the red to open door 3. Then they shoved him into it alone, then waited 9 seconds for the door to shut. Once that door shut, it was over for Snake, but he didn't give up. He probably knew it wouldn't do him any good, but he probably ran into the shower room looking for the dead. It was a small chance, but it wasn't like he had anything to lose. Unfortunately, it didn't work. The detonators only deactivated if everybody who authenticated when they went in used the dead. And then 81 seconds after he was shoved in, that happened. I see, so that's what you meant by killers, huh? You need at least 3 people to open one of the number doors, including Snake. It wouldn't open for Snake in a single killer. Exactly, that means we're looking at multiple perps here. Junpei crossed his arms and grunted. Well, just in case I want to make sure, let's say you're right. When do you think Snake was killed? When we all split up to look for the parts for the reds, I think. Right after that was when we noticed he was gone. Then that means none of us have alibis. We were all off searching the rooms we'd been assigned looking for those parts. Yeah, that means anybody could be a killer. But wait a minute, what are you talking about? June just seemed shocked. How can you say one of us is a killer so casually? Well, not just one of us. If I'm right, then at least 2 of us are murderers. Why don't you calm down a bit, Seven? What are you going to gain by being so suspicious? That's what Zero wants, you know? What Zero wants? Exactly, this game was set up by Zero, wasn't it? Any game has a winner and a loser. Whoever makes it through door 9 is a winner, and those who don't are the losers. Zero is trying to make us fight against one another for that victory. Then you're saying that Zero is trying to split us up by making us fight each other? Yes, that is why we can't let ourselves fall prey to suspicion. We have to trust one another and form a strong bond of friendship. Otherwise, we'll end up ensnared by Zero's manipulations. Then, does that mean that the person who killed Snake? Yes, almost certainly Zero himself. If there's anyone we should doubt, it should be Zero. He masterminded this game and kidnapped all of us. Doesn't it seem reasonable that he would have killed Snake as well? Junpei hadn't really considered that. If Zero had killed Snake, then Zero was on the ship with them. Was Zero still on the ship with them? Of course! Of course he was. That was obvious. Zero was somewhere on the ship, but Junpei had no idea where. Junpei mumbled to himself, lost in thought. Where could Zero be hiding? Suddenly everyone went very quiet. The silence was cold and clammy, and Junpei could feel it crawling across his back and across his throat. Again he heard the ghosting moaning noise. And moments later, a person who looked more ghost than human appeared. It was Clover. She looked at the floor as she spoke, and her voice was a cold monotone. I think Zero is one of us. Every human body in the room froze. The only sound was the muffled rustling of breath. Eyes darted from face to face. One of those faces was the face of their jailer. But who? Junpei said, well, that's possible. Huh? The Clover said Zero might be one of us. What are you saying, Jumpy? Didn't you hear what Ace said? Exactly. It said we shouldn't suspect one another for no reason. No reason? I've got a great reason. And what's that? The bracelets. He held out his left arm. Why are the bombs in our bodies connected to the bracelets? We're all thinking Zero's hiding somewhere watching us, right? If he's doing that, then he could just detonate the bombs by remote control. If someone did something they weren't supposed to. It would be a lot more precise and a lot easier, but if that's the case, then why is the bomb set off by the detonator in the bracelet? Huh, you got a point. I'm not done. Try applying the same ideas to the nonary game. All of the puzzles here run all by themselves. In other words, Zero doesn't have to be controlling them for the game to move forward. Why is that? Why would Zero bother to do something like that? Junpei let the question hang in the air and looked at the others. It was Santa who answered. So let's say you and Clover are right. Zero's one of us. If that's the case, then it'd be really hard for him to keep track of all of us, or control anything remotely. That's why all the puzzles run by themselves. That's what you're getting at, right? Yeah. Junpei nodded. 7, when we were talking earlier, you said any one of us could be Snake's killer, right? Yeah, something like that. Alright then, I got a question for you, Ace. You said something like, Zero must be the one who killed Snake, right? Yes, something like that. I can't think of any other explanation. So what do we get if we combine those? They fit together pretty well, I think. Something like this. Whoever killed Snake equals Zero equals one of us. 7 and Ace's theories aren't mutually exclusive. They actually complement each other pretty well. At least they do if Zero is one of us. No one spoke, their faces were grim, but Junpei wasn't sure if they believed him or not. Finally, Lotus spoke up. What were his motives? His motives? Yes. Yes, isn't that pretty important? Why would Zero want to hide as one of us? Oh, well that's because, Junpei choked. He hadn't thought of that, and he had to be honest with himself. He had no idea. I don't know. Lotus sighed. Well, so much for making a persuasive argument, Junpei. In other words, he had only circumstantial evidence. I don't really think that's enough to go on, you know? Junpei was painfully aware of their eyes on him and their disapproval. He tried to find something else, anything else to look at. Just when he felt he could bear it no longer, they heard a bell begin to ring. It was the clock at the central staircase. 3 in the morning. That means we have 3 hours left. Then we need to move now. 7, Clover, Junpei. I know how you feel, but you do understand that right now it's important we trust one another, don't you? Junpei couldn't bring himself to respond. He swallowed the words he wanted to say inside. 7 and Clover remained similarly silent. Their eyes were looking at something somewhere else, very far away. We must go. We have very little time left. Ace's words put their feet to moving. They all knew where they were going. Their next destination was Mercury. They stood in front of the elevators next to the stairs that led to the casino and the kitchen. Between the 2 elevators was a card reader with the Mercury symbol engraved on it. Junpei stood in front of it with the Mercury keycard. He'd found the card while investigating the shower room. He took a deep breath and slid the card through the reader. It made a small beep and the lights on the reader blinked to life. Now they were ready. 7 people, including Junpei, climbed onto the elevator. There were only 2 floor buttons they could push. The C and bottom buttons. The rest were destroyed or did nothing when pushed. Junpei hit the bottom button. The door closed. Slowly they began to move downward. Sometime later, all seven of them stepped off the elevator and onto the bottom deck. They stepped off and saw that the hallway to their right ended somewhere between 20 and 25 feet from them. The hallway in front of them was a dead end, but not a regular dead end. This is a numbered door. Yep, it's door 2. Immediately, they began to discuss who would go through it. Their earlier experiences had shown them that they would meet again, regardless of which numbered doors they took. As a result, there were no arguments this time. Instead, they concerned themselves with who would be sent in to investigate what was beyond the door. The first to volunteer was 7. Junpei followed suit, which meant Lotus was, by default, the 3rd member. Alright, we're taking off. Okay, please be careful. Jesus, you two are acting like you're married. You know that? Blush. So did Junpei. Perhaps in an attempt to hide his emotions, he quickly turned away to pull the lever on the red. The door opened. As they'd come to expect, there appeared to be a short hallway on the other side. Alright, let's go. Lotus was the first through the door. 7 was next, and Junpei brought up the rear. Fortunately, it took them only moments to find the dead. It had been placed just inside the room, right next to the numbered door. They gathered around it and quickly scanned each of their bracelets. It stopped. Yeah, it stopped. Junpei could feel his heart pounding against the inside of his ribs. 7 and Lotus were breathing hard and fast. It was the 3rd time they'd been through the process, but they had yet to grow accustomed to it. Not that Junpei wanted to. He planned to finish the game before he got a chance to let imminent death become commonplace. Junpei looked around again. It was a short hallway with 5 doors along the walls. There were 3 doors along the left wall, and a single one on the right. At the end of the hallway, the 5th door was covered by a thick metal plate. Junpei didn't think they'd be able to open it. After taking a look around the room himself, 7 spoke. Alright, let's get started. I think we'd probably better split up. You two okay with that? Yes, no problem. Sure thing. 7 nodded to them and stepped into the room closest to him. Lotus looked at the doors for a moment, then headed for the one in the center. At last, Junpei was left alone. Well, I guess I'd better get started too. He looked intently at the remaining 3 doors. Seek a way out. What the hell is this supposed to be? Like a drawing of a whirlpool or something? Well, if I had to guess, I'd say it's trying to look like water. There's a little towel in the drain. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to pull it out of there. Might have to use our heads on this one. Alright, let's figure this thing out. Huh? Looks like the water doesn't work. Doesn't matter how much 7 turns that thing, no water's coming out. Has the water been shut off from somewhere else? Possibly. There's a partition here. Maybe it's for privacy? A toilet paper tube, huh? I seriously doubt I'm gonna need this for anything. Well, this part is thinner than the rest. In fact, this doesn't really look like it's part of the rest of this thing. This rod feels loose. Maybe if I just give it a couple turns... Here we go. Screwdriver shaft. Nice. A symbol on the toilet lid, huh? Seems a little fishy to me. It's a sun symbol, but it doesn't look like the ones on the doors. Damn, this toilet's pretty nasty to begin with, but the inside's even worse. Honestly, I'm amazed you could bring yourself to touch it. Ha! There's way nastier stuff out there in the world than a gross toilet. So wise. You're a real deep thinker, aren't ya? Sun symbol. Okay. I don't know what that means. Hey, this handle's pretty loose. Loose? You think it'll come off if you pull on it? It fell off. Huh, look at this. That handle doesn't really fit on the string. Maybe it wasn't meant to be attached to it. I think it's for the screwdriver. So if I just stick this metal rod into the handle... Good job. Good job. There's a dirty blanket on the bed. Man, this is a mess. It's not even a bed anymore. Can't say I'd want to sleep there. How about underneath? No. Alright. Huh? What the hell? It's not opening. There's something up with this drawer. I don't trust it. sweet, got the screws off. Now we can open the drawer. There's nothing in here. Well, maybe the drawer is what we need. The drawer, huh? Alright, let's yank the thing out. There's a bump on the back. I wonder what it's for. Maybe there's a hole somewhere, and these bumps line up with it and trigger a hidden switch or something. Hey, we've seen weirder stuff. Doesn't seem that far-fetched. That's true. This chair is pretty old. If 7 sat on it, it'd probably break. Huh? You say something? Nothing at all. Somebody made some wavy blue lines on this mirror with blue paint. Is that a drawing of a blue scarf? No, maybe not. The other one's like in the lips. This drain is kind of a weird shape for a drain. You think they made it that shape for a reason or just for fun? So these things, they're on opposite sides of this wall, right? No, it's not just the sinks. Everything's opposite, like the mirror image. So that's normal if you're both using the same water pipes, right? There's no knob on this faucet. There's no way we can get the water out of it like this. If we can find a knob or something that'll work as one, then we should be able to get water to come out of this thing. Yes, I agree. Moon. The other side has sun. I refuse to touch this. I refuse. What the hell's wrong with you? I don't want to touch it ever. Let's relax. It's just hanging from the wall. Well, if we're pulling the string, then it must be a toilet that flushes. There's a string hanging from the ceiling here. You pull it to flush the toilet. This toilet is disgusting. You don't expect me to touch that thing, do you? If you don't want to, then I'll do it, alright? This toilet is vile. Unsurprisingly, Lotus refuses to go anywhere near it. This paper seems to be pretty old. Ew, how the hell can you touch that? It's horrible. Well, it's not like I've really got a choice, do I? It's not like I want to. Half-used toilet paper. Nothing suspicious about it. Towel. Oh, it's this combination of the two symbols. That bed looks old. Pretty sure you'd freeze to death in the winter. No kidding, if I try to sleep here my skin would dry out in no time. Well, it's not like you're that young anymore. I really shouldn't mind my Junpei, aren't you lucky? It seems you'll die before you have a chance to grow old and hideous. I'm sorry, you're right. Dry skin is a woman's worst enemy. This bed looked even sadder without the pillow. So, it's still a terrible bed. I'd never sleep on a bed like that. Okay. This looks just like the part of the design of the towel. Don't you think that means anything? Do you think that means anything? On a towel, it looks like the water is flowing from the river to the spring. Do you think that means we need to make water flow from here? Yes. Oh, no, let's go back in there. There's nothing in the drawer. Yeah, something's not right though. That handle on the drawer doesn't really fit, you know? It just looks messy. Why don't you take it out? It's a handle for the sink, dude. If I use the screwdriver on the screw... Oh hey, heightened style. I try to figure out this game. If I use a screwdriver on the screw on the center of the handle, maybe I can... It's a knob! Well, we took the drawer out, but nothing happened. Of course, there's no way you could hide a puzzle in something that small. Yeah, I know, still. Still seems like they might try to... Huh? What's that? It looks like there's something. Huh? It looks like there's something in there. Damn, no dice. No matter what angle I got at it from, I can't see anything in there. But if I put this in there. Nope. Can't see anything in there. Sounded like something falling. What was that? I heard it too. Let's open the drawer. Ew, the tile. If I recall, this was the only section of the game where someone needed to tell me the solution to a puzzle. Oh, great. If you needed help, then I'm definitely gonna need help. Oh, it has the word number 14 on it. I just realized. 14. Alright. Let's use the sink knob thinger. Sweet. The handle I got off that drawer fits onto the faucet perfectly. Now I can turn the water on. This drain has a really weird shape for a drain. Indeed. This drain has a really weird shape for a drain. So I can't put the tile in there. Or at least not in this one. Yeah, I'm glad that I like coincidentally saw you streaming this game because it's pretty fun. It's like a super intense version of like Professor Layton games. Plus the story's like pretty good. What's the deal with the lighting here? There's just this one beam of light. The rest of the place is too dark. I can't see anything. There's no way we can explore the rest of this room. Toilet paper. It's still white enough for me to know what it is, even in the dark. There's nothing out of the ordinary about it. I can just barely make out the string for the toilet, but I can get a hold of it. Damn it, it kind of pisses me off that I can see it but can't touch it. Arg, god damn it. No matter how hard I pull on this damn thing, it won't budge. Guess I won't be opening this anytime soon. It doesn't look like it's got a keyhole, and there doesn't seem to be anything stopping it. How the hell am I supposed to open it? Are they all like, all these connected story-wise? Because I know that when I was watching you the other night, you like warned me against spoilers for this game. The tiles we found and the tiles here are the same size. When I touched the tiles on the door, I felt something weird. Huh? I can move these tiles. Then that means, maybe if you swap the tiles we got with the tiles on the wall, something will happen. I suppose now we just need to figure out what the strange designs on these tiles mean. Then I guess I have to play through all these games then. At any rate, we should look for all tiles that are the same size. You're right, let's meet back here after we've done a thorough search. Okay. There's a door in the back. I wonder where it goes. I thought of that, and I tried a couple things, but yeah, same result. Guess 7 wasn't about to do anything. Ah well. The ceiling. Thanks. This is the second one on the DS as well. This mirror seems really high. In fact, it's so high that it's kind of hard to see a reflection. The mirror is really high up. It looks pretty old. Alright, let's go to that first. Let's go to the first room. That picture on the mirror, there's one in the next room too. Maybe I should see how that one relates to the towel. Maybe that'll help. Hell, it's not like it can make the situation any worse. So there's a spring at the bottom of the river. Yeah, I guess I can see that. Are you talking about the towel you got? Yeah, I guess it does look a little like that thing on the mirror. Yeah, the spring on the towel has got to be indicating the picture on this mirror. And the mirror is indicating the sink, right? But the picture looks like a spring with water and the sink's all dried out. No water? Yeah, I already tried this. Is the towel stuck in the drain? Okay, so I think water will back up in the other one and then push the towel up. But it's just a matter of turning on the other sink. Oops. 14, okay. Junpei, what are you doing? It's pretty obvious, isn't it? I'm running the water. I can see that. I'm asking you why you're just letting it run like that. Think about it. Notice, this faucet didn't have a knob when we found it, right? What do you mean? Just watch. Anytime now. Hey, water's filling up. Doesn't that just mean the pipes are clogged? Whoops, let's turn it off for now. So did anything change? The water stopped flowing. Thank you, Mr. Obvious. Junpei, I'm leaving this one to you. Alright? Yeah, you should. Gonna go to the other one. And the towel. Yes! 14 again. Combine? Nope. Worth a shot. Junpei put the wet towel into his pocket. He was about to turn away when there was a noise behind him. He spun around to see Seven kneeling on the floor. His face was rigid and pale. Yes, progress. Progress is good, right? Droplets of sweat covered his forehead. Hey, what's going on? You okay, man? He was concerned. He'd never seen Seven like this before. Slowly, the other man lifted himself to his feet on shaky legs. Yeah, I'm fine. I just got a little dizzy, that's all. His face was pale and his breathing was heavy. Sweat was pouring off his face and staining his shirt. He was many things, but fine was not one of them. You sure? You don't look so good. Seven didn't answer. Half of his face was twisted as if distorted by extreme pain, and his eyes were glazed. Finally he spoke. What am I doing here? His words made no sense. Oh, great. Amnesia. What are you talking about? We opened the number 2 door and walked in here. Don't tell me you forgot. No, that's not what I mean. He shook his head several times, as if trying to clear something from it. It ain't much, but I think some of my memories came back. I think I've been here before. Huh? I said I've been in this room before. You were here? When? Why? Owie. Light. No, nah. Suddenly, Seven was mumbling to himself. They were words Junpei didn't understand. Seven's hoarse voice trailed off, and Junpei couldn't make out what he'd said. What the hell is that? Seven's brow furrowed furiously, and he ground his teeth back and forth. It's right there. I feel like I'm this close to remembering everything, but I just can't. Seven stopped, frustrated. Oh, by the way, thanks for sending me the message about the espers in Final Fantasy VI. I had like no idea that I need to equip them to people to learn magic. So that was a big help. Seven stopped, frustrated. He pulled his hat off and ran a hand through his hair. Then suddenly he looked up, his eyes wide. That's right, an experiment. There was some kind of experiment going on in this ship. An experiment? What sort of experiment? They were trying to control people or something like that. Junpei didn't know what to make of Seven's story. Instead, he simply stared at Seven as Seven continued. AoE, Light, and Nona, those were their names. Well, some of them. The kids that were there in the experiment. Kids. Here, let me do a sad face emoji. There you go. I think there were 4 or 5 more, but I don't remember all their names. Yeah, that's right. That's why I'm here. Seven began to mumble to himself and wandered aimlessly about the room. He looked confused. So far as Junpei could tell, the man was simply rambling, and there were odd twitches to his movements. Experiment, Cradle Pharmaceutical. Those kidnapped kids. Was I working that case? Seven continued to mumble to himself about things that meant nothing to Junpei. Junpei didn't have any answers for him, of course. He couldn't understand what was happening to Seven. All he could do was wait. After a few minutes, Seven finally stopped. He crouched down and looked under the bed. His face registered mild surprise, and he began to mumble to himself again. The hole's gone. No, maybe it was a different room. There's gotta be a ton of rooms on this boat that look just like this one. At last, Junpei could contain himself no longer. Hey, what exactly do you remember? Well, maybe you could stop talking like a crazy person and tell me what's going on here. Seven stood up slowly. Well, it's not like I really remember everything. I've only got bits and pieces, and they're scattered and don't make much sense. I don't care, tell me the bits and pieces then. Junpei could feel it. Whatever Seven had remembered, it was important, very important. Seven drew a large, muscled hand down across his face. As he wiped the sweat from his brow, he spoke. For what I can remember, I think it was a cop. A cop? Yeah. I was looking for that group of kids that got kidnapped 9 years ago. You remember that, right? It was all over the news. Yep, I was still in school. I don't remember all the details, but I do remember some of it. I think it was a bunch of kids right around my age. They all just disappeared. Nobody knew why. It was all over TV and the newspapers every day. So you're saying you were investigating it? Yeah, that's what it looks like. And I guess I found something. There was this medical company called Cradle Pharmaceutical that had something to do with those kids. After I figured that out, I managed to get some information out of somebody who worked for them. They told me a ship would be leaving that night with all the kids on it. They were going to be taken to some kind of big passenger ship somewhere out in the ocean. And so Seven had headed to the wharf. He kept to the shadows and before long found the suspicious ship he'd be looking for. There were a number of human shapes moving near the ship. They were men in black suits. Many of them were carrying large bags onto the ship. The bags, there was something about the way they moved as they were carried. There could be no mistake. There were human beings in those bags. He had moved before he even realized he was going to. Out of the shadows he came, his gun already in his hand. He heard the words, "Don't move," but they weren't his. He felt metal touching the back of his head. "Drop your gun," came the cold voice from behind him. With the words, he felt the cold metal thing behind him press against his skull. Slowly, Seven crouched down and laid his gun on the ground. Then suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his neck. A needle. Was it some sort of drug? As he was thinking about that, Seven felt his face hit the cold concrete beneath him. He could feel the chill of it seeping into him. Oh, damn it. Shit, my head hurts. Seven woke to find himself lying on a hard floor. He twisted his neck to peer around the room. Where am I? There was a small shabby bed and a dirty sink. A toilet with no stall or privacy of any sort. As a cop, it was a place Seven had seen all too often. I'm in a cell, huh? Opposite the toilet was a door set into the wall. Seven struggled to his feet and hobbled toward it. He gave the door a good shove, then another, then tried pulling it. It didn't open. Well, that was about what he'd expected. It wasn't likely that someone would put him in a cell only to leave it unlocked. He threw himself against the door a few times, but to no avail. I knew it. Seven grumbled to himself as he moved back toward the bed. He sat down. He sat there for a very long time, just how long he wasn't sure. At last he began to nod off, and had nearly fallen asleep when he was roused by a distant voice. There's over. It's 9. The voice was far away, very far away. Seven couldn't understand what it was saying. Nonetheless, it was a voice, and a high one, most likely a child. His eyes shot open. Her, 0, ear, K, ing. As he listened, he could pick out several different distinct voices. There were at least 5 or 6, possibly more. Where were the voices coming from? He looked around the room frantically. Perhaps the door. No, that wasn't it. What go ow? Was it coming from the left? Was it coming from under the bed? He grabbed the bed and flipped it up with ease. There it was. There was a hole for ventilation in the wall where the bed had been, covered with a metal grate. Seven lay down on his stomach and peered through the grate. He couldn't see anything, it was too dark. Now that he'd found it, however, there could be no doubt this was the source of the voices. For a moment he was confused. Why were there children nearby? Then he remembered what the man from Cradle Pharmaceutical had told him. How a ship would take the kidnapped children from the wharf to a waiting passenger liner out in the ocean. Was Seven on that passenger liner? It didn't matter. What mattered was that he found a way to the children. Seven looked at the metal grate. Could he fit through that hole? He stuck his fingers through the grate and grabbed hold of it. A burger, hurrah! Yeah, how'd you like that, you son of a bitch? The dark square sat open before him. Seven wiped the sweat from his forehead and crawled inside. Junpei waited for Seven to resume his story. Yeah, take that. Great. The longer he waited, however, the clearer it became that Seven had no intention of doing so. He had gone silent and simply stared off into the air, his eyes blank. Hey, what happened after that? He waited long enough, but Seven shook his head. I don't remember what happens after that. I think I found some kind of door out of the duct. And I think I found some kids too. Oh man, why can't I remember what happened next? Oh man, what happened to the kids, Seven? Did you save them? I don't know. I don't know if it was me. I got this feeling. I think one of the kids died. A girl, I think. Huh? Deep in his heart, Junpei felt something very cold. Seven's head dropped, and Junpei saw it on it. A look of sadness, the likes of which he had never seen on the man before. The large man's eyes blinked rapidly, as if he were fighting back tears, and he swallowed hard. His sigh was like the melancholy setting of an old abandoned building. He shook his head and spoke. Anyway, just please don't ask me any more, okay? I really don't remember anything else. After that, Junpei could hardly try to force any answers out of the other man. There was nothing more he could do. Instead, Junpei turned his mind to trying to make sense of what Seven had told him. The children who had been kidnapped 9 years before, apparently. A company called Cradle Pharmaceutical had been behind the kidnappings and had taken the children. Whoop, skip that. They had been brought to the ship for an experiment. Something to do with controlling human beings, Seven had said. The 16 children who'd been kidnapped were the subjects of for the experiment. Seven had said 3 of their names were Aoi, Light, and Nona. How do you pronounce that? Aoi? That was the new information. He had also learned that Seven was or had been a police officer. Still, there was little he could do with this new information. He learned nothing about the nonary game or Zero. He had no idea why they had been brought to the ship that had been the site of those experiments 9 years before. Junpei couldn't forget what Seven had said the purpose of the experiment had been: to control human beings. Could such an absurd experiment really have been conducted? Yes. Before long, Junpei realized he had spent quite some time deep in thought. No time for that, he chided himself. Aoi. Oe. I'm gonna say I'll do Oe. No time for that. He had work to do. Junpei shook his head quickly to clear it and returned to his investigation, thoughts twirling in his mind. There are many points in this game where the characters like take a super long time to do something that should take a couple seconds, and then they realize that they're gonna die. Alright, I got those 2 tiles. It looks like we should use the tiles here. But there are still rooms that haven't been checked yet. I'll come back here once I've done that. Owie. Owie sounds cooler. Hopefully I'll never have to say it again. I could just barely see a mirror from the light coming through the ceiling. Sure would be nice if that mirror was a little lower down. It looks like the same height as the mirror on the right. I wonder if that means anything. Like reflect the light? Yeah, they do take a lot of time to either complain or get pissed at each other. Though I don't know what I would do in this situation. I'd probably... maybe I'd be a little bit more frantic. It's a blanket. Yes, it is. The light's barely enough to see by. I feel like I'm gonna see a ghost here or something. Oh yeah, we can probably use this mirror to reflect the light. Now I just gotta figure out where to reflect the light. Maybe if I go somewhere that's a little easier to shine light on. Huh? When I shine light on the mirror in the back, is that a number? So if I shine light on this mirror, then I get to see some numbers. I think I just coincidentally had the drawer in my inventory or my item slot. I can see a 4 on the left and a 7 on the right. 4 and 7. So if I shine this light on the mirror in the back... Whoa, 4 and 7, sun and moon. I get it. If I shine light on the mirror, a symbol appears. The left one has a sun and the right one's got a moon symbol. I'm gonna remember this. Okay. Four and 7. Yeah, that room is kind of confusing. Looks like we should use the house here, but there are still rooms that haven't been checked yet. What? There's only 3 rooms, no? The door in the back went open. Yeah, yeah. Okay, it's nice to see the sink lit up, I guess, but all it shows me is the pipe. There's nothing special about this toilet paper, blah blah blah. I can see a partition over there. It seems pretty pointless to bother examining it. Okay, so I already did this. It's just like the sun symbol we saw in that dark room. Yeah, that's right. There was some kind of number hint there too. You think maybe the number was how many times we took a piss? No, it's gotta be how many times we flushed. Yep, 4 and 7. The only thing you can manipulate in this room is that string. Chances are they made this puzzle so someone wouldn't trigger it by accident. I guess I should just keep pulling on this thing then. Alright, here goes. Second pull. Third pull. Fourth pull. Did you just hear something? Yes, I did, but it doesn't look like anything's happened here. Huh. Wonder what that sound was. Oh. Yeah. I'm just Scott lucky. It is kind of like not super apparent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I had to open it first, probably. Oh, never mind. Does that sound like it happens whenever I pull that string a couple of times? Junpei, did you hear something from the other room? The other room. You mean from the dark room? Hell yeah! Probably this thing. Well, this door opens easily enough. Oh, two of them. Or one of... Oh yeah, there's 2. Alright. Time is it? I think someone's coming over soon. Should probably... I wonder how close I am to this puzzle being done. Okay, well, it looks like we've investigated all the rooms. The only mystery left is that door. Alright, let's crack the mystery then. We've got 4 tiles, and there are a bunch of tiles that are the same size up on the wall here. So if we replace 4 of the tiles on the wall with the ones we got, that should open the door. Well, there's only one way to find out. This, I have no idea. It's like all the same tile. Oh, I get it. Wait, do I get it? No, I don't. Okay, so we're just like replacing tiles here. Let me put it back. Emerge. Merge. Junpei, calm down. You just have to replace 4 tiles. Yeah, right. It's just 4 tiles. I need to think. Let me look at these closer. What is this tile for? Red, blue, gray. Several lines in each color. What does it mean? Your guess is as good as mine. Are they like truly the same? They look the same. Alright, I think I had to take a break here because someone's coming over, but I feel like I'm close, which is good. So let me save. Thanks for watching and the help. See you later.